The underestimated fleet. The vibration of the ESS Dauntless hummed through Captain Alina Reyes' boots as she stood on the command deck, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. Earth's flagship might be considered outdated by Galactic Confederation standards, but the reassuring rhythm of its fusion engines felt like home. "Status report, Commander Chen," she said, her voice carrying the quiet authority that had earned her command of Earth's premier vessel. Commander David Chen looked up from his console, the blue light reflecting off his glasses. "All systems operating at optimal capacity, Captain. The fleet is in formation and ready for the jump to the Arcturus sector." Reyes nodded, surveying the bridge crew, all human, all aware of what was at stake on this mission. Earth had joined the Galactic Confederation only 15 years ago, practically yesterday compared to species who had been traveling the stars for millennia. The diplomatic channels had opened after humans demonstrated faster-than-light capabilities, but acceptance was another matter entirely. "Open a channel to the fleet," Reyes ordered. "Channel open, Captain," replied Lieutenant Santos, her fingers dancing across the communications array. "This is Captain Reyes. In 10 minutes, we jump to Arcturus. This is not a combat mission. Confederation Command has been clear about our role. We observe, we learn, we represent Earth with dignity. That means no showing off, no unnecessary risks." She paused. "But remember your training." Arcturus outposts reported unusual activity before communications went dark. "Stay alert. Rise out." As Santos closed the channel, she turned to Reyes. "Captain, incoming transmission from the Confederation liaison vessel." The main view screen flickered, revealing the elongated face of Ambassador Thrix, a Veldaran whose species had been among the founding members of the Confederation. His silver skin caught the light as he tilted his head, 4 eyes blinking in that unsettling pattern that always made Reyes feel like she was being studied rather than addressed. "Captain Reyes," Thrix said, his translator giving his voice an artificial smoothness. "I must once again emphasize the importance of your fleet maintaining the observation position assigned to you. This operation against possible Krellnar incursions is a standard Confederation security procedure, not an invitation for Earth to demonstrate its enthusiasm." Reyes kept her expression neutral. "My orders are clear, Ambassador. We'll maintain our assigned position." "Good. Your vessels are not equipped with Confederation standard shields or weapon systems. Your participation would be problematic." The unspoken message was clear: stay out of the way. Since joining the Confederation, Earth had insisted on maintaining its own ship designs and military structure rather than fully integrating with Confederation technology. This choice was met with amusement at best, condescension at worst. "We understand our limitations, Ambassador," Reyes replied, the words leaving a bitter taste. "Excellent. The Arcturus security operation will provide valuable insights for your people on how advanced civilizations conduct space warfare. Consider it an educational opportunity." With that, Thrix's image disappeared from the screen. Commander Chen walked to Reyes' side. "Educational opportunity," he muttered. "They've been educating us for 15 years, while refusing access to their weapons technology." "Patience, Commander," Reyes said, though she shared his frustration. "We play their game. For now." The jump to Arcturus was smooth, the dauntless, human-designed FTL drive performing flawlessly. As they emerged, the system sprawled before them, a red giant star surrounded by 7 planets, and the Confederation outpost on the 4th world. But the tactical display immediately showed something was wrong. "Captain," Lieutenant Commander Patel called from Tactical, "I'm reading multiple ships in orbit around Arcturus IV. Energy signatures don't match Confederation vessels." "Confederation fleet is already engaged," Santos added. "They're broadcasting a general distress call." The main screen showed the unfolding battle. Sleek Confederation vessels, with their distinctive blue energy shields, were exchanging fire with angular, obsidian ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The Krellnar attack force was massive, at least 3 times the size of the Confederation Defense Fleet. "That's not a raiding party," Chen said grimly. "That's an invasion fleet." Ambassador Thrix's face appeared on a side screen, his normally composed features twisted with concern. "Captain Rice, the situation has escalated. The Krelnar have launched a major offensive. Maintain your observation position. Confederation reinforcements have been requested." "Ambassador, your forces are outnumbered," Rice replied. "How long until reinforcements arrive?" 6 hours, minimum. "We will hold until then." Rice exchanged glances with Chen. They both knew what that meant. The Confederation forces would be annihilated long before help arrived. "We can assist now," Rice offered. Thrix's upper eyes narrowed. "With what, Captain?" "Your projectile weapons and metal-hulled ships. The Krelnar adaptive shielding would render your assistance symbolic at best, suicidal at worst. Maintain your position." The transmission cut off abruptly. "Charming as always," Chen muttered. Rice studied the tactical display, watching as 3 Confederation cruisers were surrounded and their shields overwhelmed by concentrated Krelnar fire. The elegant vessels weren't built to withstand direct hits once their shields failed. They broke apart with catastrophic ease. "Captain," Santos called, "we're receiving a direct emergency transmission from the Confederation flagship Eternal Harmony. Admiral Kelser is requesting to speak with you directly." Rice raised an eyebrow. Admiral Kelser was the Confederation fleet commander, a Jiraxian with a reputation for pride that matched his species' 400-year lifespan. For him to contact an Earth captain directly was unprecedented. "Put him through." The face that appeared was not the composed Confederation officer Rice had met at diplomatic functions. Kelser's ridged cranium was marked with what appeared to be burns, and the command center behind him was filled with smoke and flashing emergency lights. "Captain Rice," Kelser said, his translator barely keeping up with his rapid speech, "the Krelnar have developed a new type of shield-disrupting weapon. Our defenses are failing systematically. We need immediate assistance." Ambassador Thrix advised against our involvement. Rice replied carefully. A bitter laugh escaped Kelser. "Thrix is dead, Captain. His vessel was destroyed 10 minutes ago. I am authorizing, no, requesting, Earth's intervention. Whatever you can do." Rice nodded once. "We're on our way, Admiral. Hold as long as you can." As the transmission ended, Rice turned to her crew. "Battle stations. Alert the fleet. Combat formation Alpha. Weapons free, but hold fire until my command." The bridge erupted into activity as the red alert klaxons sounded. Rice opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, this is Captain Rice. The Confederation fleet is facing annihilation. We are moving to assist." She paused. "This is what we've trained for. This is why Earth maintained its military independence. Today, we prove our worth to the Confederation, not with speeches, but with action. Follow the Dauntless in. Rise out." Earth's fleet of 15 vessels moved in perfect formation toward the battle zone. Compared to the sleek Confederation ships, they looked bulky, utilitarian, relics of a more primitive understanding of space travel. Several Confederation captains sent confused transmissions as they approached, questioning their presence. As they closed to firing range, Rice surveyed the tactical situation. The Krelnar were systematically targeting Confederation vessels with their shield-disrupting weapons, then finishing them with conventional energy weapons. The Confederation ships, designed around their shield technology, were falling rapidly. "The Eternal Harmony is taking heavy fire," Paddle reported. "Their shields are at 12% and failing." Rice made her decision. "All ships, this is Captain Rice. Target the Krelnar vessels engaging the Confederation flagship. Fire at will." For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, from the Dauntless and her sister ships, streaks of light erupted. Not the energy beams familiar to Confederation warfare, but physical projectiles. Kinetic kill vehicles accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed by electromagnetic rails, that ran the length of each Earth vessel. The first volley struck 3 Krellnar ships simultaneously. Their adaptive shields, designed to counter energy weapons, did nothing against solid objects moving at relativistic speeds. The projectiles tore through their hulls, triggering catastrophic internal explosions. 3 Krellnar vessels disappeared in brilliant flashes of light. Silence fell across all communication channels for a brief, stunned moment. Commander Chen couldn't suppress a smile as he looked up from his console. "I think we just got their attention, Captain." The remaining Krellnar vessels began to turn, adjusting their formation to face this unexpected threat. Earth's fleet had suddenly become the most dangerous presence on the battlefield, and the enemy knew it. "They're repositioning to engage us," Paddle reported. "Good," Rise replied, her eyes locked on the tactical display. "All ships, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Second volley on my mark." The battle had only just begun, but already the dynamics had shifted. The Confederation vessels, seeing an opening, began to rally behind Earth's primitive fleet. For the first time since the Krellnar attack began, there was a glimmer of hope. Rise gripped the command rail as the Dauntless shuddered under its own firepower. "Let's show the galaxy what humanity's relics can really do." Humanity's answer. The Krellnar response was immediate and ferocious. Dozens of their obsidian vessels broke off from attacking the Confederation fleet and turned their weapons toward the Earth ships. Streams of energy fire slashed across space, impacting against the Dauntless and her sister ships. Direct hits on decks 4 through 7. Patul called out, her fingers dancing across the tactical console. Armor holding at 82%. Unlike Confederation vessels with their energy shields, Earth ships relied on layered physical armor. A design choice that had earned mockery from their allies, but was now proving its worth. Where Confederation ships shattered under Krellnar fire once their shields failed, Earth vessels absorbed the punishment. "Return fire," Rise ordered. "Target their weapon emplacements." Another volley of kinetic projectiles launched from the Earth fleet, each one precisely targeted. On the main view screen, Rise watched as railgun rounds tore through Krellnar vessels, leaving gaping holes that vented atmosphere and bodies into the vacuum. "Captain," Santos called, "Admiral Kelser is hailing us." The Juraxian admiral appeared on screen, his expression a mixture of shock and grudging respect. "Captain Rise, what weapons are you using?" "Just good old-fashioned tungsten, Admiral. Accelerated to about 30% of light speed." Kelser's translator couldn't quite capture his tone. "Physical projectiles. The Krellnar have no defenses calibrated against bullets," Chen offered with a slight smile. "Just very fast, very large bullets." A violent explosion rocked the Dauntless, cutting the transmission. A Krellnar cruiser had closed to point-blank range, concentrating its fire on the Earth flagship. "Hull breach on Deck 9, Chen reported. "Emergency bulkheads engaged. Medical teams responding." Rise held the command rail tightly. "Target that cruiser, all forward batteries." The Dauntless shuddered as its forward railguns fired simultaneously. 6 kinetic rounds slammed into the Krellnar vessel, the impacts so close together they appeared as a single flash. The enemy cruiser broke apart, its reactor containment failing in a brilliant blue explosion. "All ships, press the attack," Rise ordered. "Deploy Midas drones." From launch tubes along the flanks of each Earth vessel, hundreds of small objects erupted into space. Midas drones, another primitive Earth technology. Each drone was essentially a guided missile with minimal electronic signatures, making them difficult to track and target. They swarmed toward the Krellnar fleet like angry insects. "What are those?" Admiral Kelser's voice came through again as he reestablished communication. "Magnetic infiltration and disruption autonomous systems," Rise replied. "Midas drones. They attach to enemy hulls and disrupt electronic systems." On the tactical display, the drones reached their targets. They latched onto Krellnar ships, their powerful electromagnets allowing them to cling to the hulls. Once attached, they began emitting targeted electromagnetic pulses, confusing sensors, and disrupting weapon targeting systems. Several Krulnar vessels began firing wildly, their precision lost. Some accidentally hit their own allies in the confusion. "The Confederation ships are reorganizing," Patel noted. "They're forming up behind us, using our vessels as cover." Reyes nodded. The elegant Confederation vessels, with their superior maneuverability, were positioning themselves to fire through gaps in the Earth formation, creating a combined attack that caught the Krulnar in deadly crossfire. "Captain," Chen warned, "the ESS Intrepid is reporting critical damage to their propulsion system. They can't maneuver." The Intrepid was the smallest vessel in Earth's fleet, a fast attack frigate commanded by Captain Lucia Diaz. On the tactical display, Reyes could see that 3 Krulnar ships were converging on the wounded vessel. "Direct the Challenger and the Defiant to cover the Intrepid," Reyes ordered. "Have Captain Diaz prepare for emergency evacuation if necessary." But before the rescue ships could reach position, the Intrepid's emergency thrusters fired. The damaged vessel was turning, not away from the enemy, but directly toward the largest Krulnar cruiser. "Captain Diaz, report," Reyes demanded. Diaz's face appeared on screen, her bridge filled with smoke. Blood trickled from a cut above her eye. "Sorry, Captain Reyes. Reactor containment is failing. We can't save the ship, but we can make it count." Reyes understood immediately. "Lucia, don't. Tell my family I did it for Earth. Diaz out." The transmission cut off as the Intrepid accelerated toward the Krulnar cruiser. The enemy vessel attempted evasive maneuvers, but the human ship, guided by Diaz's steady hand until the very end, stayed on course. The collision was catastrophic. The Intrepid's failing reactor detonated on impact, creating an explosion that engulfed both vessels and damaged 2 nearby Krulnar ships. Silence fell across the Earth fleet's communication channel. Then, Santos quietly said, "The Intrepid is gone, Captain. With all hands." Reyes took a deep breath. Note in the log: Captain Lucia Diaz and the crew of the ESS Intrepid gave their lives in defense of Earth and the Galactic Confederation. Their sacrifice will not be forgotten. She paused, then added with steel in her voice, "All ships, advance. No mercy." The battle intensified as Earth's remaining vessels pressed forward, their railguns wreaking havoc among the Krulnar fleet. The Confederation ships, finding new courage in the human example, attacked with renewed vigor. "The Krulnar flagship is transmitting on all frequencies," Santos reported. "Let's hear it," Reyes ordered. The message was audio only, translated into standard Confederation language. "Earth vessels, identify your weapons technology. What defenses are you employing against our scanners?" Reyes considered for a moment, then replied, "Nothing special. Just iron, grit, and a few thousand years of warfare experience." She cut the transmission and turned to Chen. "Target their flagship. All batteries." The Dauntless and 2 other Earth vessels fired simultaneously. 12 kinetic rounds struck the Krulnar flagship in a devastating pattern that the humans had perfected through centuries of naval warfare. The massive enemy vessel broke apart, its destruction sending shockwaves through the remaining Krulnar fleet. "The enemy is retreating," Patel announced, unable to keep the satisfaction from her voice. Multiple ships jumping out of the system. On the main view screen, the remaining Krulnar vessels were turning away, their formation broken. Some initiated faster-than-light jumps, disappearing in flashes of light. Others continued to fight, but without coordination, making them easy targets for the combined Earth Confederation fleet. "The day is ours," Chen said quietly. "At what cost?" Reyes replied, thinking of the Intrepid and the lives lost. Admiral Kelser's transmission came through again. The Juraxian looked exhausted but resolute. "Captain Reyes, the Confederation owes Earth a debt that cannot be easily repaid. Without your intervention, we would have been annihilated." "We're allies, Admiral. That's what allies do." "Yes," Kelser agreed, his tone thoughtful. "Perhaps we have misunderstood what that means. When this battle is concluded, I would like to discuss a more integrated approach to our military cooperation. The implication was clear. Earth would no longer be kept at arm's length from Confederation military planning. I look forward to it, Admiral, Rise replied. As the transmission ended, Rise surveyed the bridge of the Dauntless. Her crew was battered but unbowed, continuing their duties despite injuries and exhaustion. They had proven themselves today, not just to the Confederation, but to themselves. Captain, Santos said, multiple Confederation vessels are transmitting messages of thanks. Some are requesting information on our weapons systems. Reyes allowed herself a small smile. Tell them we'd be happy to discuss technology exchange once we finish securing the system. 3 hours later, the last Krellnar vessel had either fled or been destroyed. The combined fleet established a defensive perimeter around Arcturus IV, where the Confederation outpost had suffered heavy bombardment but remained operational. In the Dauntless conference room, Reyes met with Admiral Kelser and the surviving Confederation captains. The atmosphere was markedly different from previous meetings. Gone was the condescension, replaced by genuine respect. "Your kinetic weapons," a Thrashin captain said, his reptilian features animated with interest. They bypassed the Krellnar adaptive shielding completely. "Sometimes the old ways are effective precisely because they're unexpected," Rise replied. The Krellnar were prepared for energy weapons, not physical projectiles. Admiral Kelser leaned forward. "And your ships, built to sustain damage rather than avoid it entirely. A philosophy completely counter to Confederation design principles. Humans have a saying, Admiral, hope for the best, plan for the worst. Our ships are designed with the expectation that they'll take hits in battle. A wisdom we should have recognized sooner," Kelser acknowledged. "The Confederation Security Council will convene when we return. Earth's status within our alliance will be reconsidered." Reyes nodded, understanding the significance of his words. Earth would no longer be the primitive newcomer kept on the sidelines. They had earned their place at the table. Later, as the Dauntless initiated repairs, Reyes stood alone in her ready room, looking at the stars through the viewport. The cost had been high. The Intrepid lost, other ships damaged, good people dead or injured. But humanity had shown the galaxy something important today. Innovation doesn't always mean the newest technology. Sometimes it means remembering what works, adapting old solutions to new problems. Commander Chen entered with a datapad. "Captain, preliminary after-action reports. The Confederation is already implementing some of our defensive strategies on their vessels. Fast learners," Rice commented. "They're also requesting permission to station observers on Earth ships for training exercises." Chen couldn't hide his satisfaction. "Seems our relics have become quite popular." Rice took the datapad, scanning the information. "Respect is earned, Commander. Today we earned it." She looked back at the stars, thinking of Captain Diaz and the Intrepid. "Let's make sure their sacrifice continues to mean something." "Yes, Captain," Chen replied solemnly. As the Earth fleet began their journey home, messages of gratitude flooded in from Confederation vessels and the Arcturus outpost. The galaxy had received an important lesson today. Never underestimate humans and their capacity for warfare, not because they loved conflict, but because their history had taught them to be prepared for it. The mockery of Earth's outdated warships had ceased. In its place was a newfound respect that would change the course of the Galactic Confederation forever.